Hey everybody, Christopher and I may be feeling a little under the weather, but that doesn't mean we can't answer your mailbag questions. The date is September 8th, 2018, and you're listening to episode 5 of the Star Wars Canon podcast.
What a piece of junk!
There were stories about what happened.
It's true. All of it.
Hey everybody, welcome to a new episode of the Star Wars Canon podcast. As always, I am your host, Brian Miller, and I've got with me the, I don't even know what to call you this week, man. I think we're both feeling like crap. I'll just say you were the right nut to my left nut. How's that?
Oh, recycled jokes are wonderful. How's everybody doing?
I know, right? Yeah, gotta love the classics, man. Hey everybody, like I said, welcome to the Star Wars Canon podcast. This episode may be a little shorter than usual. Chris and I are both feeling a little under the weather. I stayed home from work today, which is kind of unheard of. So, I figured since last week we didn't do a mailbag section to the podcast, that's all we would do this week. And before we get into the mailbag questions, though, I figured we'd go over real quick what came out this week on Canon and what comes out next week, just so everybody has a rundown of what to be looking for.
All right.
But before we get into even that, I just want to let everybody know. This is a weekly show now, but we've got a lot of other shows lined up for you guys monthly for the patrons and stuff like that. So make sure to head over to the Patreon for the Star Wars Canon Library and Realm of the Mist. Make sure to check those out for any exclusive content you guys might be interested in there. But what do you say we jump in real quick and just talk about some of the new canon, some stuff coming up this week, and then we'll get into everybody's questions. How's that sound, bud?
You're the boss.
Alrighty.
I just realized I sound like dude from a Green Mile.
Yeah. You do, really, yeah. And I feel like the dude from Green Mile after the chair.
Oh.
Yeah, I know, right? So, new canon
Michael Clark
this week.
Duncan, for those that wanted to know. Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, well, I figured everybody knew that, but
Just in case.
let's see here. New canon for this week. The expanded edition, the novelization of Solo, a Star Wars story, dropped this week. Very excited to pick that up. Chris, yeah, I think on the last week's episode you said you were going to pick it up?
Well, yeah, probably this weekend.
Cool.
I haven't picked it up yet, obviously.
Well, I know you're more of a paperback kind of guy.
Well, not only am I a paperback kind of guy, it's I usually do my shopping on the weekend, so.
Oh, fair enough. Fair enough. Well, it sucks, too, because Monday I went and picked up the hardback edition of Thrawn that I sent out to our winner for the live Q&A and didn't even realize I should have waited a day to go to Barnes & Noble because I could have just got them both at the same time. But that's what I get for not thinking.
There you go.
Also this week we've got the, it just came out Wednesday, Dr. Aphra Annual number 2. I can't believe we've already had 2 annuals. Like, that's crazy to think of. It doesn't seem like Aphra's been around that long. I got your opinion on that. And then also issue number 53 of Star Wars dropped this week, which this arc right now for Star Wars is pretty good. The Hope Dies arc. It's a pretty good arc so far. I mean, issue 50 was the kickoff for this arc, and it was a thick one. It was a really thick one. It was a good one, though. But that's all that came out this week. Like I said, not a whole lot in the way of news and stuff, of news stuff, So, and coming out this coming Wednesday, we've got the conclusion to the comic adaptation of The Last Jedi number 6. And Darth Vader, Dark Lord of the Sith number 21. Dude, I know, like last week we were going to talk about the Vader run, and I completely forgot to go back to it, dude. What are your thoughts on this new Vader run so far?
The best comic book run in the Star Wars franchise, bar none.
Completely agree.
I'm throwing it over top of like Son of Dathomir. I'm throwing it over top of the comic incarnations of like Dark Force Rising. Like, this is the number 1 comic run, I think, in Star Wars history.
Oh no, it's absolutely sick. I read issues 19 and 20 today. Got caught up, and it is absolutely freaking insane how cool this comic is. Like, you wanted Vader, like when we were talking about, remember when Rogue One was coming out, everybody wanted like a badass Vader scene,
which we got.
But I mean, like, they really wanted to see Vader in his prime. That's what this comic is. It is the absolute shit. It is awesome. So make sure to go check out those issues at your local comic book store this week. They should be there. Well, I think Wednesday's comic day. So make sure to go check those out.
Is it wrong of me that I would really love a crossover story arc in some way, shape, or form of having this incarnation of Vader, Dark Lord of the Sith, meeting up with Maul?
No,
I mean, obviously
actually,
Maul would have to escape because of canon reasons, but I would love to see a confrontation between the two.
there's nothing to say that can't happen, because I mean, Maul knows about Vader in Rebels, and even in Rebels, Maul kind of ran off before Vader showed up, so yeah, I would love to see that. That'd be sick as hell, so yeah, because we don't know what Maul was really up to between the end of Clone Wars and beginning, or where he popped up in Rebels. We don't really know a whole lot of what he was up to. We know he started leading Crimson Dawn now because of Solo.
He got involved with the criminal underworld.
With the syndicates, but I mean, we don't know a whole lot of other than that. You know what I mean? So
right,
yeah, that would be really, really cool to see. I mean, holy crap, yes, please go. Now that you said that, and I didn't realize I needed that in my life.
Well, just thinking about like the primal anger of Vader in this comic run mixed with the primal rage of Maul would just be an insane story arc.
Oh, it would be absolutely amazing, dude. Like, it would be absolutely sick. So, yeah, definitely. That's something I would really, really like to see. Let us know, guys, in the comment section below. What did you guys think? How would you like to see Maul pop up into this new Vader run? Do you think that's something that they should touch on? Do you think that's something they should do? Or do you think Chris is just, like, batshit crazy and he just needs to... Actually, I'm not going to say that because I know some people actually say he's batshit crazy.
I was about to say, you're
I'm
opening that
up,
window way too wide. Of course I'm
bad.
batshit crazy.
Yeah,
but is it a good idea?
Oh, yeah. Is it a good idea, everybody? Let us know. I'd love to see your guys' thoughts on that. All right. What do you say we get into some mailbag questions, man?
Right.
I've got 7 of them lined up. I went through and kind of tried to pick out a variety of different topics. So let's just jump right into these. Question number 1 this week comes from Mark O'Hare. And Mark says, really glad to see you guys back talking Star Wars again. It sucks you have to take a break each year, but it's understandable. Maybe over the course of the next couple of years, you'll get enough patrons to be able to do this full time. That'd be nice, wouldn't it? Holy crap. My question is concerning Maul's appearance in Solo. What do you think the point of slipping that in there was? It's kind of weird to just drop him in a film out of the blue. Love to hear your thoughts and keep up the great work. Well, we were just kind of touching on that a little bit. We know he was doing the crime syndicate thing, but I think, personally, what I think it was the beginning of a new story arc for Maul. Because everything else was wrapped up at this point. Like, every other story arc that Maul was involved in was wrapped up. So, this was just the beginning of a new one for us. That's really that's all I see it as.
Me personally, I'll agree with that. I think that's what it's turned into. But quite honestly, it was fan service. It was to give them a pop and put a Jedi of some form in the movie. That's all it was.
Yeah, because we did see the lightsaber. I mean, yeah, you're right. I mean, so far, every single Star Wars film's had a lightsaber in it now, hadn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, it's almost like they don't know how to make a Star Wars movie without one.
It's more shocking that R2 and 3PO weren't in Solo in some way.
Yeah, that felt really jarring, didn't it? Yeah. No, I would have. It would. I would have. I don't know though. Like, to me, it would almost, because of the story of what Solo was, it almost feels like that would have been more forced than Maul. Because if Maul is kind of getting in with the crime syndicates, and you had Dryden Voss there, who is part of a crime syndicate, it makes sense that Maul would be there. But the droids, like, do they really need to be in Solo?
No, they don't. I'm just saying, we had a run going that there was always a lightsaber ignition in every Star Wars movie, and R2 and 3PO made some form of appearance in some way in every Star Wars movie. At the point, 3PO was, a protocol droid to not Senator Organa, but Princess Leia. I don't know why I brain farted the fact she was a princess at the time. So she could have sent him as an envoy, even as a hologram message, maybe to Dryden or something of that nature. Warning about shipping lanes too close to Alderaan or some shit like that, and it still would have kept the tradition alive. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm glad they didn't. I'm sure it wouldn't fit, but I mean, there were ways they could have snuck them in if they really wanted to.
Yeah, no, there's ways to shoehorn characters in. I mean, because like like we were talking about earlier, we don't know what these characters are up to in between, you know, and you won't know until all of a sudden they just magically randomly pop up somewhere like, oh, okay, so they were there, you know, like, so I think that's all it was. I think you're right. I think it was mainly to be fan service at first, and
but
then I think
now they could build off it.
Yeah, I think so. So, see, because my first thought was they were doing like a Han movie, a Lando movie, and then like something else, and then each one was gonna have like the subplot of Maul throughout the whole thing, right?
Oh my God, how fucked up would it be if Maul, while running the Crimson Dawn Syndicate, was based and hidden on Tatooine the whole time and had no idea he was that close to Obi-Wan?
Oh my God, yeah, dude. Well, we know he was on Dathomir, but yeah, the fact, I mean, I would love to see Maul on Tatooine at some point and just like keep sensing something out of like just the corner of his mind, just like nagging at him, like he's like, what is that? You know, like he can sense him around. That'd be awesome. I'd love to see something like that. Thanks for the question, Mark. I appreciate it, and yeah, we're glad to be back too, man. We really are.
Thanks, brother.
This name I have a hard time with. It sounds French, but it's Shannon Trudeo.
Trudeo?
I think it's pronounced Trudeo or Trudeau.
A Trudeau, maybe.
Yeah, it ends with an X, so I'm assuming it's Trudeau.
We apologize for butchering names.
I'm no good with names. I'm no good with names. Anybody who's been watching knows I'm not. But Shannon says, I'm convinced that Kerry Russell in episode 9 is going to be Kira. Mara Jade, what do you think? Big fan of you guys. Chris, I'm going to let you start that one.
I'm still not sure if Kira is Mara Jade. I know that's been a rumor going around. I wouldn't be surprised if it is Kira, though. I've been seeing like internet chatter around that maybe Han and Kira did copiate at some point. You know, I'm trying to use a big word here because I'm trying not to be dirty. But
conceive.
Conceive, thank you. There's no other way to put it. Basically, they bumped uglies at least once, and somehow, some way, that was the formation of Rey, and that's why Ben lied to her in The Last Jedi. So I could buy that it's Kira, like an older Kira, but I don't really buy that it's Rey's mother, or at least not that storyline of it
it's
being.
It's not Rey's mom. No.
I mean, it could be Kira and Dryden's daughter for all we know. No, Dryden's dead, but I mean, like for all we know. But I really don't see that as being the main reason why she's there, if that makes any sense.
I tend not to think that. I don't go into this thinking that certain people are playing certain characters, because you remember when episode 8 was coming out and everybody thought that Laura Dern was going to be Rey's mother. You remember that? Like everybody was like, "Oh yeah, she's going to be Rey's mother. They look a lot alike. This is going to be great." No.
Wasn't also the rumor that she was supposed to be Mara Jade because she is older and so is Luke Skywalker?
Yeah. It just a lot of, just rumors and theories start. See, the problem nowadays is that theories fly, and then people like theories so much they try to say, "Oh, that's rumor," and then rumor turns into, "Oh God, there must have been a report somewhere of that," so they just take it as fact. And then when it doesn't happen, everybody gets pissed off because they had the wool pulled over their eyes.
Hey, look, I'll say it straight out. It's always fun to speculate, but it's always it's always best to remember that it's purely speculation, and don't get your hopes up on a speculation.
Yep, that's exactly there's a difference between speculating and God, what's the word I'm looking for?
Building false hope.
Yeah, kind of confirming in your own head ahead of time, you know, that you're right. So yeah, but do I think Kerry Russell's going to be Kira or Mara Jade? No, I don't think so. I don't think she's probably going to be some. I don't know. I feel like she's going to be some, resistance soldier, or something like Dominique Monaghan's going to be a First Order trooper, something like that. It's just, I don't know. I could be completely wrong though.
Well, that's the thing, especially when you have J.J. Abrams directing. Any of these actors and actresses, no matter how big they are, could very well just be a cameo appearance, or not even an appearance you would know. Again, look at Daniel Craig as the Stormtrooper in The Force Awakens.
Right. Kevin Smith in The Force Awakens, voice in the one.
Yeah,
Stormtrooper on Takodana, stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, just complete cameos, even though they're big enough names to have parts and characters in the Star Wars universe.
Well, even Tom Hardy in Last Jedi, they cut his scene, but he had a scene in Last Jedi where he kind of did the sports butt slap on Finn when he's like, "Oh, you got a promotion, nice, Pop."
Right.
and stuff like that. So
well, you could even argue the point that the Master Code Breaker was nothing more than a cameo appearance. I mean, he didn't even have a line of dialogue. He had like one line,
and he stuttered like it's just, oh god, that stutter.
No, I wasn't talking about DJ. I'm talking about the actual
the actual code breaker.
The actual code breaker.
Not now, Lovey. I'm on a roll. that one.
Yeah.
Oh god. I don't think Kira and Mara Jade are the same person, but I mean, it's possible Kerry Russell could be. I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing a Mara Jade character pop up, but I feel like by now you would have heard a mention of her somewhere else, especially with the Last Jedi novelization going into Luke's head and stuff. I really think you would have heard a mention of her at some point.
Well, there's nothing that says just because it's Mara Jade, it has to be Skywalker's wife. She could still be the Emperor's hand, or she could just simply be a reformed assassin. Or there's so many different things that Mara Jade could still represent. You know, again, it doesn't have to follow exactly EU. It's just the character itself returning that would be the most important thing, I think, to fans. Of course, there would be ones that will complain that, oh, she's not that, she's the Emperor's fist, and blah, 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 blah. But in reality, it's just be happy the character's back.
Yeah, no kidding. I hope that answered your question, Shannon. I not necessarily do we agree with you, but we don't necessarily disagree with you either. So
kind of a wait and see.
It's one of those things where the closer we get, the more I'll talk about it a little more. But it's interesting to think about. Question number 3 this week comes from William Butler. I think I've had a question from William Butler before.
Sounds familiar.
William says, yeah, it does. He says, first off, welcome back. Glad to hear you two miking it up again. Clone Wars is back. So excited. I agree with you guys that Padme will discover she's pregnant in this season, but I have to say I'm with Brian. I think the series will end at Order 66 and Ahsoka escaping. My question is, do you think if they don't show it in the series, that we'll get another Ahsoka novel somewhere down the road telling that story? Thank you for what you do. Love you guys.
I'm still holding on to my belief that they'll give Dave Filoni another animated movie. If they don't do Order 66 at the end of this season, they'll do a movie. Mm-hmm. I don't think you could put that as epic of a scale in just a book. As cool as the book would be, I don't think you could just put it in a book.
Well, I wouldn't mind seeing them finish the series off with like an hour and a half long, which should essentially be a movie, be it like an hour and a half long finale. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like one big episode, even an hour long episode. Because all the finales for all the series, all the season finales were hour long, weren't they?
I think so.
But no, as far as Ahsoka, I would love to see another Ahsoka novel though. Because I didn't mind the first Ahsoka novel. It wasn't quite what I was expecting, but it wasn't that bad either. E.K. Johnston did a pretty good job writing that, but I wouldn't mind seeing like a prequel Ahsoka novel kind of touching on before the first one, like that Order 66 thing. And that's if we don't get it in Rebels. I still believe we're going to. But because, you know, everybody made this big deal about Ahsoka, whether she was alive or dead, and, you know, all this stuff. They wanted to see what happened to her. You know, we're going to see
plenty.
I mean, it's got to be, you have to see Ahsoka go, you know, with the Order 66. I just feel like you have to.
Like I said, I'm holding out for a movie, but I wouldn't be disappointed in a book. And even if it doesn't tie in, like we said, to the Order 66, I'd happily welcome a second Ahsoka book.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. No, that's well, that was the book that they first introduced the crystals, the lightsaber crystals changing colors. Mm-hmm. That was the book where they first actually introduced it. So yep. I wouldn't mind seeing it somewhere else also. Question number 4 this week comes from Emma McCarthy. And Emma says, I just finished the Battlefront 2 campaign for the first time. I was utterly shocked when Inferno Squad turned to the Rebellion. What I thought was cool was how now when we see a lot of Imperials facing death, they're realizing that they had it wrong the whole time, like Admiral Versio. Do you like what they're doing, making the Empire more human and more sympathetic? Love the new podcast, by the way. That's one thing I've always liked about the new canon so far, is they're kind of humanizing the Empire a little bit more. Because, I mean, even if you look at Lost Stars, when they blew up Alderaan, there were people going, what the hell did we just do? Why did we just blew that planet up? Like, that was billions of people, you know?
Right.
So, and I think what she's referring to in Battlefront is at the end when Iden's getting to her father, and she's trying to get him to leave, and he's like, no, I won't go. It's too late. You know, it's too late for me. Go, you know? So I think that's what she's referring to. But yeah, it happens more and more now. You're starting to see Imperials, not all of them obviously, but a lot of them, whenever they're about to go out, they're like, oh crap, no, we had this wrong the whole time. What have we been doing? You know? What do you think about this new gray area in Star Wars.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Is I'm definitely enjoying the fact that there is humanization, because we've speculated that for years about the Imperials, long before the new canon. That not everybody is the goose-stepping, Gestapo of the Galactic Empire. There are people who they're doing this because it's a job, or they actually believe in the protecting the Empire, or whatever. And then they see these atrocities, and it's like, what the hell are we doing? What are we involved in? And how the hell do I get out of this type deal? That's why you have people like Han Solo. That's why you have people like Wedge Antilles and now Iden Ercio. But what I'm more fascinated with is the fact that this new canon, and especially from the fact, even though I know it's Lucasfilm, but that Disney in general has been exploring that the good guys are not squeaky clean. Like, they have a gray side too. Starting with things like, and I know it pisses a lot of people off, but I mean, like Cassian Andor killing the informant because he couldn't move fast enough, or killing the Saw Gerrera member because he was shooting too close to
Jyn.
Thank you, Jyn Erso. And cough medicine's a bitch. And then, of course, you go into further with, like, Luke not being as squeaky clean as he is in The Last Jedi. I know a lot of people get pissed off at the storyline, but it still does kind of reflect that gray area that the good guys are not always good and the bad guys are not as bad as they are all made out to be. Sometimes it's just the leadership and not the person carrying out the order.
Yeah, no, I love the fact that they're doing that now. And it's funny, though, because when they're trying to do this like from a certain point of view thing. Like, you're only bad from a certain point of view, you're only good from a certain point of view. It depends on what your view of good and bad is.
Uh-huh.
But it's funny, in the films, you'll still see stuff like the evil Galactic Empire and the opening crawl, you know what I mean? And stuff like that. Or, even in the new films, the evil First Order. Even in the comics now, and they got the crawl at the beginning, it'll say the evil First Order and stuff like that. But then they turn around and try to humanize them a little bit.
Well, it's because the order itself, the representation itself is evil. Its beliefs and standpoints are evil. But the people carrying out, sometimes they bought into the propaganda, or they bought into the patriotism, or they bought into whatever of what they're doing, not realizing that what they're doing could be atrocities. And then there's others who actually had their eyes open doing the atrocities, going, what the hell am I doing?
Yeah, no, I think it's a great new, I guess you could say, layer to the lore. I think it's something, a new aspect to it, a new variable that they've kind of thrown in that really sets up some cool storytelling, though. So thanks for the question, though, Emma, and glad you like Battlefront. I need to go through and play that campaign again.
If you haven't done it yet, play Resurrection. If you were surprised at the ending of Admiral Versio, just wait.
Oh God, yeah, no, Resurrection's we need some more DLC, though.
Yeah, we do.
We really do need some more DLC for that. Question number 5 this week comes from Kenny. I'm sorry, not Kenny. Jimmy. God, I can't even. From Jimmy, and I'm gonna say that I'm gonna butcher this into Kage, Kogge, Kogge. I don't know how to pronounce that.
I'm not even attempting it.
I know. I'm sorry, brother, if I am butchering your name. I'm like I say it every other name. I'm no good with names. Jimmy says, "Long-time listener, Brian. The Canon Library has come a very long way. And it's cool knowing I've been here for the most of it. What are some of your thoughts and predictions about what Episode 9 could hold for us? And do you think it will redeem The Last Jedi in some of the haters' eyes? I love The Last Jedi, but wasn't a big fan of Solo, so I'm hoping 9 blows us out of the water. Thanks for taking my question in advance." What do you think, Chris?
I think JJ's going to attempt to placate the fan base. I said it in a previous podcast that this is JJ's last ditch effort. I shouldn't say last ditch, but it's his last chance to reunite the fandom. Now, there are some of us who like or love The Last Jedi, and there's some of us who hated it. Most of us pretty much could give or take Solo. But Last Jedi is really the polarizing one. I don't necessarily think that JJ's going to sit there and retcon everything Rian Johnson has done, but he is going to use the opportunity to be able to at least make sense of what happened in 8 to hopefully get people back on board with how the story finishes up.
Well, even if that means retconning some stuff, because I personally, just me personally, I hope they don't retcon anything. I hope that everything we heard was, face value. I really do. But, even if it means retconning some stuff, if it means everybody will stop complaining and just being at each other's throats, do whatever. Just make it epic. Make it a satisfying conclusion to the Skywalker saga. That's all you need to focus on is make it satisfying.
That's it.
That's it. That's all you got to do. Some of the things I wouldn't mind seeing in it, obviously, we're going to see Luke back as a Force ghost. That's pretty much a given. I would really like to see Yoda and Obi-Wan now. I would really like to see an Obi-Wan ghost. Or even Anakin.
If I were to retcon anything, it would be... well, there's a couple things I would. But, I mean, since you're bringing the Force ghosts in, of course I want to see them as well. But I wouldn't have them being physically involved with anything.
Kind of the same role Obi-Wan was in Empire and Jedi.
Right. I guess, no, yeah. I could see Luke pulling like a Jacob Marley on Kylo Ren and just kind of terrorizing him. Because of the line he gave at the last line he gave.
Love that.
So yeah, I could see him kind of Jacob Marleying Kylo, especially while Kylo's in battle or something like that, taking his focus away.
Oh, you missed.
Yeah, kind of taking his focus away and shit like that. But I don't want to see Force lightning or Luke igniting a ghost lightsaber and taking on Kylo or something like that.
Mm-hmm. God, no, Force ghost lightsaber battles. No, 9's gonna be it's gonna be sick, dude. And I really do, because of how long the shoot is. I think it's gonna be a long ass movie, dude.
I think it needs to be. Again, if this movie is supposed to be the end of the Skywalker saga, the end of the lineage, the end of what made us all Star Wars fans to begin with, you've got to give it an epic out. And I mean, I hate to put this much pressure on the movie.
You got to pull all the stops out.
Yeah, I hate to put this much pressure on the movie, but this is the swan song. Do it or don't.
Yeah, no, this is the one. Obviously, okay, look. Obviously, I'm a realist. Nothing is ever going to come close to being as good as the classic trilogy, right? Nothing is ever going to... It's not going to elicit the same emotional response seeing the classic trilogy for the first time did, right?
Right.
But it has got to be... This is... Going into episode 9, this is going to have to be the... capital T, capital H, capital E, the most epic Star Wars film to date. Like, this has to be the one that when people sit and watch it, you see people bawling their eyes out in the cinema, people laughing their asses off at certain parts, people gasping in horror or at plot twists, or, this is the one that it's got to be. This is the one that you've got to make this movie the one everybody talks about for decades.
But it can't have a finale ending. It can't have a finished ending. It does for the Skywalkers. It's got to have that.
Yeah.
That's the fine point. It's got to have a definitive end for the Skywalker, since this is supposed to be the end of the Skywalker saga. But the doorway has to be open to the new stuff. Johnson's trilogy, Benioff and Weiss's series. There has to be an opening saying that even though this story is done, the universe awaits.
Well, just because it's not going to be like, at the end, well, I don't want to give anything away because some people haven't seen certain movies, but it's not like at the end of the movie because the Skywalkers are gone, the universe just crumbles and disappears. You know what I mean? Right. It's still there. You have to show at the end of the film that the universe is still there. People are still living their everyday lives. There are people in the galaxy never even heard of Skywalkers. You've got to keep that in mind. The galaxy's so huge that...
I'll argue that point. Everybody knows who the fuck Darth Vader... No. Everybody in the galaxy knows who Darth Vader is. Everybody in the galaxy after the fall of the Empire knows who Luke Skywalker is.
Not necessarily, man.
I would argue that point.
I don't know. I would love to see a planet, though, way out in the fringes, close to unknown space that never heard of any of it going on.
Well, if you're talking about that, maybe, but I'm talking within the confines of the Galactic Empire or the New Republic or something. They know at least those two Skywalkers.
Question number 6 this week, and you guys got some serious names. I'm not kidding. Timothy Strazok. Strzok. Strazok?
That sounds about right. I'll
Timothy
go with that.
Strazok? Yeah, okay. I'm sorry, brother, if I'm butchering it. I don't know how many times I've had to say it so far this podcast, but I am really sorry if we're butchering it. Timothy says, since Zahn is writing 2 more Thrawn novels, when do you think they'll take place? Personally, I hope the first new one picks up with, quote-unquote, that scene in Rebels with Ezra. That would be a great kicking off point. And for a second question, do you think we'll get a Snoke novel? Thanks for what you do. Love it.
Snoke novel, yes. Thrawn novel, the 2 Thrawn novels where I want him to go off, as I've not completed Thrawn Alliances yet, I don't even want to speculate because Lord knows how this is going to end.
Well, it's got to end. It takes place before he pops back up in season 4. So it's got to be like, we know where he gets. He gets to that scene in season 4 with Ezra. Like, that's where he eventually is going to get to. But having one of the first novel you write, the first of the next 2 novels he writes, you pick it up, and it's that scene where he's telling Ezra, whatever happens next happens to both of us, stuff like that. And it's like, that be the first chapter. I would lose my mind over that. That'd be freaking cool as hell. Like, to actually sit there and read that and then follow that, what happens with them. You know what I mean? Like, right after Rebels.
Well, I would say this much too. I mean, I would not. It's purely speculation. But let's say, for the sake of argument, out in the unknown spaces, Thrawn dies. Just for argument, I wouldn't mind Timothy Zahn. I don't want to say rehashing, but kind of bringing back the storyline of the Hand of Zahn, or the Hand of Thrawn, where the legacy of Thrawn lives on. You know what I mean? I think that would be just as cool for the next 2 Thrawn movies, depending on how it plays out.
Yeah, no, that'd be cool. I'm still a firm believer in Thrawn had a lot to do with the rise of the First Order. So I'm really thinking that because he said these next 2 books can't come out until after Episode 9. So once we get through Episode 9, I think we're going to go back and cover that 30 some odd year gap between Jedi and Force Awakens. And we're going to see the formation of the First Order, like, in detail, right? Not just like speculation and little hints at it, but actual detail of it. And I think Thrawn's going to have a lot to do with that. I really do. He almost has to, because of the stuff in the Aftermath trilogy that kind of talks about the unknown regions, and Thrawn's from the unknown regions, and the First Order gathering back out in the unknown region, stuff like that. It all kind of connects back to itself. So I'm hoping to God we see Thrawn help bring back the First Order. You know what I mean?
Well, I was gonna say, do you think that maybe Thrawn found Snoke, and through some training or debates or something like that, is the reason why Snoke came and created the First Order?
Oh, it's possible. It's possible. I think I feel like the First Order was part of the Emperor's contingency plan from the get-go.
Probably.
Yeah, but it's because he had this giant Operation Cinder in motion, right? For in the event of his death. So I mean, if you read the Aftermath novels, they really do go into detail about what that was with these observatories around the galaxy and stuff. So, and hell, we even saw another one of the observatories in Battlefront 2, when he plays Luke when he got the compass,
right?
So yeah, no, I think Thrawn had a lot to do with that. We're gonna get a lot of Thrawn stuff, but yeah, I would really like to see it pick up with that scene. That exact scene. That'd be so cool.
Well, Timothy Zahn has been quoted in stating that he's not going to release any more of the Thrawns or talk about any more of the Thrawns until after Episode 9.
Right.
Because we speculate that there's a major tie-in. What if the puppet master all along wasn't Snoke? What if it was Thrawn?
I'd be all right with that.
We don't know how long it lives.
Yeah, like Snoke still answered to somebody else. Yeah, no, that'd be cool. But to answer the other question, yeah, I definitely think we're going to get a Snoke novel at some point. We almost have to. I don't think it's going to be called Star Wars Snoke. I don't think that's going to be the name of it. It'll have some cool title, but it'll be mainly about Snoke. And I think it's going to come after Episode 9. Like I said, we're going to focus on that big gap between Return of the Jedi and Force Awakens. That's when you're going to start seeing Snoke pop up and stuff, and kind of where he came from, how he came to power and stuff like that.
Well, see, I firmly believe, and I don't mean like Brian and myself, but I mean in general, I firmly believe that Lucasfilm listens to the fan base, listens to the podcast and everything else. And I think they have in the works ways they want to improve the stories or retcon some things that fans had issues with. But we're so finicky and fickle and impatient that we're not excited about the fact that it could come in a different format. It won't be in a movie, but it'll be in a comic, or it'll be in a book, or it'll be in a video game. Stuff of that nature. And I think patience is the biggest key for a Star Wars fan. You don't know. You might get your answers to everything you want to know. Just like the reason I say that is a lot of people want to know more about Snoke. It'd be stupid for Lucasfilm to not give us some sort of backstory.
What if this is their plan all along? To make The Force Awakens and then make Last Jedi to where it just divided everybody and pissed them the fuck off. And then 9 comes in and just saves everything. Like, what if that was... I mean, I don't think it was. But what if that was, like, their master plan the whole time?
You say you don't think it was. I would not be surprised if it was.
You really?
Okay, Lucasfilm is Lucasfilm, but Disney is the master of emotional manipulation with their from day one. You know, from Snow White on. You know, name a Disney movie that doesn't tug at a heartstring or piss you off or something of that nature. You know what I mean? They're master storytellers, and then expecting that out of Lucasfilm when they made the merger and bought the franchise. I don't expect it to be that way, but I would not be in the least bit surprised if that was their plan all along. Is eight is the middle chapter and it's supposed to piss you off and leaving you feel hopeless and drained.
Right, and make you hate yourself and everything that yeah, that's the one, you know, and yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all. I don't think that's what they did, but I mean, think about it. The Star Wars fan base is the fan base to do that too. If you're going to do it to anybody,
oh, of course,
like, we are the ones. Yeah, we are the ones. You know, so. But anyway, thanks for the question, Timothy. Thanks for being a follower and a listener, brother. And the final question this week, we've been going for what, about just over a half hour? Yeah, it'll be all right. The final question this week is a very simple one, and it comes from Kevin Wallace. And Kevin just simply says, so, do you think we'll get a Battlefront 3?
Yes.
Yeah?
Not anytime soon, but yes. I think the franchise, for as much as people bitch about like the loot crates and stuff like that, which of course, you know, EA has fixed, you can't deny that the franchise, this rebooted franchise, has been popular among fan bases, and especially with all the new stuff they've been bringing into Battlefront 2, I think it's making more than enough money and is more than enough success that they will eventually do a Battlefront 3.
I think it's bound to happen. I think it's going to be completely reworked though if they do it, because I feel like the first Battlefront was like a demo. Like, because they were working on the second one a lot longer. Well, they were working on the second one way before the first one even released.
Right.
So I feel like they were like, God, we really want to get this out and see what people are thinking of it. Let's just release a multiplayer version of it only with just a few maps, you know, and get it looking pretty and give it out and see what people think of it. And then they released the first Battlefront. And then they got their feedback and was like, well, we're going to take that and apply it to Battlefront 2. And then we got Battlefront 2, like the main game, right? Like the one, I think they planned on doing the campaign with the second one the whole time. I think they just threw the first one out as like a multiplayer like demo.
I think it was just to excite people about there's new Star Wars coming. I think that's all Battlefront was it was a promotional tool about The Force Awakens. It was a promotional
They wanted
tool.
it out at the same time, yeah.
Right. It was a promotional tool of, hey, world, Star Wars has been rejuvenated because Lucasfilm is now part of Disney and we're popping out everything. I think Battlefront was just
we are going to milk this sea cow, yeah.
Yeah, it was just LucasArts / video game division saying, hey, guess what? New games, too. You know.
See, I will say this. That's one thing I really wish they'd bring back is LucasArts.
That would be awesome.
I really, because I'm playing through Jedi Outcast again, Jedi Knight 2 Jedi Outcast on my OG Xbox over there. Oh god, I forgot how good that game is. I forgot. Oh my god, it's so good. Like I'm on the Doom Giver right now, and it's just I forgot how good that game, and I forgot all about the Shadow Troopers until one of them pissed me off the other day. And the game is so good, and it's not just Jedi Outcast though, because you've also got, I mean, all the whole Dark Forces series. You know, you've got Knights of the Old Republic, you had the Starfighter series, you had Bounty Hunter. Yeah, I mean, you had all these other Force Unleashed. Yeah, I mean, you had the Phantom Menace PC game that came out in '99. I had that. That was freaking awesome. You know, like it's just the graphics were shittier than hell. But God, it was so good, you know, like it was just fun to play. And
to be in fairness, though, I mean, we're comparing the graphics to today. They were cutting edge when they released.
Right. In '99, yeah, no, that just a Obi-Wan with like a hexagonal head with just a face printed on it, going, "Yes, Queen," you know, like just nodding, doing this. Yeah, that was the big thing back then, right? But that was so freaking cool, dude. They need to bring LucasArts back. They could do so much with LucasArts now, especially linking LucasArts in with the story group.
Right.
You know? So, I mean, because at the time, they didn't have the story group for LucasArts. Now we've got this big group saying, you can do this, this, and this. You can't do this and this and this. Go for it. You know? Like, they could really come up with some good stuff. I really think they could.
Look, let's be honest here. Force Awakens made almost $4 billion total. It almost paid for the sale of Lucasfilm to begin with. And then The Last Jedi made upwards of $2 billion. And even Solo, I think, got to the billion mark.
Let me see what Solo made.
Or at least will once it gets the DVD sales involved and everything else, right?
Right.
So you're talking about $6-7 billion. Disney's got the money. Lucasfilm has the money to reopen their computer division. They really do.
Oh, absolutely. Solo made... I should have known. Solo made $392 million.
That is bad.
Yep.
Okay, I retract my statement. I really had more hope for
that's worldwide.
Yeah, I had a lot more hope for Solo than I guess I thought I did.
Yep.
Wow. Okay.
I knew it was low, but I guess I didn't realize it was that
$6 billion
low. Yeah.
can still reopen LucasArts and then bring all the gaming, Star Wars gaming stuff back in house and have it under control of a master storyteller.
Right. No, I think that's the key right there, is just to get one person in charge of, video game storytelling and one person in charge of film storytelling, one person in charge of comics, and have them all work together. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
So, I mean, yeah, I think we're definitely going to get a Battlefront 3. You think it'll have a campaign?
If it does, I was just thinking about this. The hardest thing about Battlefront is the new incarnations are primarily MMOs. Let's call it what it is. They're multiplayer onlines. So it's hard to judge when the end of a run of a MMO is before you come out with the next MMO. Right now, they're adding new campaigns, new maps, and new characters and new skins, and they're milking Battlefront 2 for what it's worth right now. So that's still alive and well. I personally think we won't see Battlefront 3 until we're well into the stories of the new saga series, whatever. And I think Battlefront will, if it has a campaign, will tie in with those.
You know what? I was just sitting here thinking, I would really like to see Old Republic go to console.
There was talks about it for the longest time, but I don't know what tied it up.
What kept them from doing it?
Yeah.
Because you got DC Universe Online, you got Star Trek Online on there. I mean, you got all these other MMOs you can play now, but not Old Republic.
Yeah.
Like, come on, man. Like, I would play Old Republic on my PlayStation.
Well, I think Neverwinter's the one that proves to me that if you could do Neverwinter on a console, you could do you should be able to do Old Republic, because it almost seems like it would be the same interface to me.
I've never played Old Republic, so I don't know anything about it. I know it's got a serious cult following, but
well, first off, it ties into the world of Revan and Knights of the Old Republic, which everybody absolutely loves. As far as like EU stuff, I would say that would rival as the most important EU stuff imaginable was Revan, Malice, and the Old Republic. So that definitely has a cult following, and because past or present Lucasfilm has never touched on the mythos of the Old Republic, people are still tied into the fact of like, this could still become canon. It's not yet, but it could still become canon. And I think it's strong enough that there's obviously a couple things you'd have to retcon or fix in the story, but there's nothing that says the Old Republic as is couldn't become canon. It was really well written.
Well, see, that's going to suck too, because if they ever do make it canon, I have to start at day one and go all the way through that sucker. I mean, you want to talk about a Let's Play? Holy crap. That's going to be a hell of a one.
I suggest starting now. I've got a character.
God.
I'll run with you.
Oh, my God. Oh, well, anyway, guys, I think that is going to do it for this episode of the Canon Podcast. We've been going for close to 45 minutes. Like I said, it was going to be a little bit of a shorter episode, but that's all right. It doesn't always have to be a whole lot, does it? Chris, where can the good people find you at?
Drug-induced coma in my bedroom.
Oh, wow.
You can find me anywhere on realmofthemist.com, Realm of the Mist YouTube channel, right here on the Star Wars Canon Podcast. You can find me on the Realm of the Mist Patreon page, and, of course, the Twitch TV channel as well.
Fair enough, brother. And you guys can find me right here on the Star Wars Canon Library all of the time. We've got the podcast going. We're going to have stuff going up on the Patreon. This weekend, I've already got a couple of new posts on there just for the patrons. And I'm sending out the bookmarks finally for everybody, all the patrons. I finally got those in the mail yesterday.
I got one coming.
Yeah, Chris has got one coming too, so I finally got those in the mail. Head over there and check that out. Make sure to like the Facebook page as well. Give us a like and a follow there so that you know when the next live Q&A is going to be. Make sure to check out the website, StarWarsCanonLibrary.com, which I spent all day today literally all day today making new graphics for it and redoing the timeline, doing the upcoming canon, like everything on it is completely up to date at this point.
Oh,
so
do we want to talk about real quick before we get out of here the fact that we were playing Order 68 last night?
Yeah, go for it.
And new maps. We didn't see a whole bunch of new maps, but we saw one brand new map during Blast, and it was the first map we played, didn't we? Wasn't it?
Yeah. I didn't know they dropped. I didn't know they had this map on the game at all. I just didn't know.
We went to Naboo, but it wasn't the throne room. Battlefront 2 had brought, and I'm sure this is old news to everybody else, but it shocked the shit out of us when we were playing last night. Was that there's now the hangar bay and the area where Maul fought Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon, the high ground,
the big
areas,
power generator room,
the big power generator room, which was beautiful.
Oh, it was I got killed so many times on that match
map.
just because I was walking around looking at stuff.
Yeah,
but I was really want to go down to that hallway where the Ray shield was, where Obi-Wan and Maul really finished off.
Yeah.
I really wanted to get down there, but it was outside the map. But I mean, maybe on Galactic Assault, I don't know. Maybe on Galactic Assault, there's a map where there's a gameplay where you get to there, get there at some point. But
true.
I don't know. But it was really cool. I'm glad you brought that up because that did surprise the hell out of me. But I think that's going to do it for us, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for being followers. I cannot wait until the next time we talk. So until next time, guys, this is Brian and Christopher signing off. And may the Force be with you.
Always.